Welcome to the Car 247. Hey you, you scrolling there, stop for a second. Ever wonder why some cars get hyped while others vanish without a trace? I'm about to show you machines that didn't fail because they were weak, they disappeared because they were too damn good, too fast, too capable, too threatening to the brands that made them. These are the cars that embarrassed their own lineups, made the so-called premium models look slow, and were quietly shoved into the shadows. And here's the best part. By the end of this video, you'll be looking at cars you never noticed before and thinking, why the hell didn't I know about these? Stick around because I'm about to pull back the curtain, and trust me, you'll want to see this. Ford Probe. The Mustang that almost was. Imagine a car so futuristic it looked like it drove straight out of a sci-fi movie. Pop-up headlights, digital gauges, and sleek Mazda-engineered handling under the Ford badge. That was the Ford Probe, born in the mid-1880s from a desperate attempt by Ford to compete with Japanese efficiency and aerodynamics. They even flirted with the idea of positioning it as the next Mustang. Big mistake. Mustang fans didn't take kindly to a front-wheel drive coupe wearing their hero's crown. Thousands of angry letters later, Ford backed off. The Probe was left to figure out its own identity, and that's where things got messy. Despite the marketing chaos, the Probe was legitimately impressive. With a 2.2-liter turbo or a 3.0-liter V6, depending on the trim, it handled better than most expected and came at a price lower than a Mustang GT. Early buyers snapped it up. Nearly 120,000 units sold in 1989 alone. But the mid-90s arrived, SUVs surged, and suddenly the sporty coupe everyone quietly loved was abandoned. Its downfall wasn't lack of talent. It was confusion, misbranding, and timing. And while the Probe quietly disappeared, its DNA lived on. But the next car we're about to look at, it wore the face of a regular compact sedan, and yet it could embarrass far more expensive sports cars. Nissan Sentra SER B13, the sleeper assassin. At first glance, it looked like your aunt's grocery getter, a boxy, awkward Sentra with zero personality. But under that unassuming exterior lurked a legend, the SR20DE, a 2.0-liter twin-cam four-cylinder that made 140 horsepower feel like rocket fuel in a car weighing only 2,400 pounds. Add a limited slip differential, four-wheel disc brakes, and independent suspension, and suddenly this pizza delivery-looking car handled like a bargain BMW M3. The crazy part is, Nissan never even tried to shout about it. No flashy ads, no hype, nothing to make buyers notice. And yet Car and Driver put it on their 1991 10 Best lists, calling it the poor man's M3, which in hindsight was a massive understatement. It could carve corners, flick through turns, and embarrass far more expensive cars without anyone, outside enthusiasts, even realizing. Unfortunately, subtlety was the SER's undoing. Average buyers passed it by for flashier Civics and Eclipses. Later generations ditched the magic formula. Gone went the independent rear suspension, the LSD, the lightweight thrill. But the original B13? Today, it's a cult hero. Tuners worship the SR20DE engine, drifters obsess over its balance, and clean examples sell for over $30,000. A pizza delivery box? Maybe, but a true sleeper assassin? Absolutely. And speaking of misunderstood brilliance, the next car we'll see, Americans couldn't wrap their heads around it and it flopped. Not because it was bad, but because the market wasn't ready. BMW 318 Ti, the misunderstood cheap BMW. In Europe, the 318 Ti was a hit. A compact hatch with perfect rear-wheel drive balance, lightweight, and handling that made every corner feel like a playground. But when it landed in the US in the mid-90s, Americans recoiled. The shape? Ugly. The timing? Terrible. SUVs and oversized trucks were king, and a chopped E36 hatchback didn't stand a chance. Under the hood, it started with a modest 1.8-liter four-cylinder producing 138 horsepower. Not much on paper, but the magic wasn't in raw power. It was in how it felt on the road. Tight chassis, near-perfect weight distribution, and a connection between driver and car that's almost impossible to fake. Inside, it was minimalist but functional, leaving room for imagination rather than flashy toys. Here's the kicker. It was the cheapest BMW you could buy in America at the time, and instead of attracting enthusiasts, it drew badge seekers who wanted the prestige without caring about the driving experience. The result? Flopped hard. Out of 375,000 units worldwide, fewer than 25,000 ever made it to US roads. Today, the 318 Ti is gaining cult status. Enthusiasts are rediscovering what BMW used to do best: simple, balanced, thrilling cars that whisper fun rather than scream for attention. And speaking of hidden gems, next up is the hatchback America slept on. A car so good, it could have been a legend if the timing had been right.
Ford Focus SVT, the hot hatch nobody paid attention to. Back in the early 2000s, Ford's special vehicle team decided to shake things up. They took a regular Focus, already surprisingly competent, and injected it with a dose of pure hot hatch madness. The result? The Focus SVT, a pocket rocket that can hang with European performance hatches at a fraction of the price. Under the hood, a 2.0-liter Z-Tech engine pumped out 170 horsepower, screaming to 7,200 RPM, paired with a 6-speed manual that felt surgically precise. The suspension was tighter, the brakes bigger, and the chassis sharpened, so every corner felt alive. This wasn't a cushy commuter. It was a driver's car wrapped in humble hatchback clothing. And yet, America shrugged. At a time when muscle trucks and SUVs ruled the streets, a small front-wheel drive hatch that handled like it belonged on a track just didn't sell. Only 7,500 units made it to US roads between 2002 and 2004, a fraction of what it deserved. But here's the kicker. The Focus SVT aged like a fine wine. Today, enthusiasts hunt them down, amazed that a $17,500 hatchback could deliver thrills comparable to much pricier European imports. It's a stealth legend. Next, we move to a car that actually tried to compete with the WRX and Evo and yet quietly disappeared. Mazda Speed Protégé, the forgotten turbo monster. Imagine an economy car that secretly eats sport compacts for breakfast. That was the Mazda Speed Protégé. In the early 2000s, Mazda handed their humble Protégé to the tuning wizards at Mazda Speed and said, "Make it spicy." And boy, did they. Under the hood sat a turbocharged engine paired with a racing-tuned limited-slip differential, forged suspension by Racing Beat, and wheels that actually made the chassis feel alive. Torque steer? Nearly gone. Corners? Sharper than most cars 3 times the price. Every drive felt like a masterclass in handling. A car that demanded attention behind the wheel, even if it looked completely ordinary from the outside. And here's the tragedy. Nobody knew it existed. No flashy ads, no magazine spreads. Dealerships often didn't even know what they were selling. Most buyers passed it by, thinking it was just a regular Protégé with plastic hubcaps. Only 4,500 units ever hit US roads. Today they're hunted, rare gems that hint at what could have been if Mazda had actually promoted this tiny turbo assassin. Next up, we move to a car that disguised a Toyota powerhouse inside a Pontiac body, the Pontiac Vibe GT. Imagine walking into a dealership in the early 2000s. On one side, a quirky Pontiac Aztek. On the other, a tiny hatchback that looks like it's designed for grocery runs. That hatchback? The Pontiac Vibe GT. a stealth performance machine hiding a Toyota heart. Beneath its unassuming body sat the 2ZZ-GE engine, a 1.8-liter masterpiece revving all the way to 8,200 RPM. Paired with a 6-speed manual, it felt like a sharp knife through butter, nimble and eager on twisty roads. Practicality? Off the charts. Cargo space, reliability, daily usability, all wrapped in a package that could still embarrass half the sport compacts of its era. But here's the kicker. Pontiac marketed it like it was a lifestyle accessory. Yoga mats, frisbees, surfboards. Nothing about the screaming engine or corner-carving potential. Buyers saw a rebadged EcoBox, missed the magic inside, and passed it over. In other words, America slept on one of the most clever hot hatches ever. Next, we reach the grand finale, the car that was supposed to replace a legend and nearly caused tuner culture to riot, the Acura RSX. The successor fans rejected before driving. The Acura RSX arrived in 2002, stepping into shoes too big to fill. It was meant to follow the legendary Integra. Tuner culture collectively groaned before even seeing it. "They're killing the Integra name?" enthusiasts asked. But Acura had a plan. Elevate the car with a more refined, premium feel. Leather-trimmed interior, sound deadening, stiffer suspension. This wasn't just a street racer anymore, it was a gentleman's sport compact. But enthusiasts weren't interested in refinement. They wanted raw edge. Enter the Type S. Under the hood sat the K2A2 engine, a 2-liter 4-cylinder screaming over 8,000 RPM, delivering 200 horsepower of pure VTEC ecstasy. Paired with a 6-speed manual, it cornered like a dream, revved like a track car, and handled with surgical precision. This wasn't hype, it was a real driver's car. Timing, however, betrayed it. America had gone full SUV and pickup. Gas was cheap, horsepower was king, and sleek Japanese hatches were no longer the spotlight. The RSX offered everything enthusiasts craved, yet the market ignored it. Over 130,000 units sold in the US, respectable, but not enough to cement its place. When production ended in 2006, it quietly slipped from the spotlight, overshadowed by trends rather than shortcomings. These 7 cars prove one thing. Sometimes the best machines aren't defined by speed or luxury, they're defined by being too clever, too capable, or simply arriving at the wrong time. Innovation doesn't always win the popularity contest, and history often buries the cars that dared to outperform expectations. The common thread through all 7 of these forgotten gems is clear. None of them failed because they were bad, quite the opposite. They were brilliant, capable, and often ahead of their time. They challenged expectations, embarrassed their own brand's icons, or simply confused the buyers who weren't ready for them. Some were too refined, others too subtle, and a few were just unlucky with timing. It makes you wonder, if these cars landed in today's market with enthusiasts primed for precision, performance, and affordability, could they finally get the recognition they deserved? Which of these sleepers could dominate now, rather than vanish quietly into history? The next time you see a seemingly ordinary car, remember, looks can deceive, and greatness often hides where nobody is looking. If you enjoyed uncovering these hidden legends, hit that like button, share it with a friend who loves cars, and be honest, subscriptions are low. So if you want to see more deep dives like this, go ahead and subscribe to support the channel.